Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to our modded Minecraft All of Fabric 5 series. This is episode number 16. This week has been a bit of a struggle for me, just trying to get things recorded. And I did get a lot done in our world, but I didn't really get a lot recorded, at least nothing that I'm really happy with. So I'm just going to take you around and show you the things we've done so far, and we'll go from there. Oh, hi, Mr. Enderman, hiding in our maintenance tunnel. I'll deal with you later. First, let's show you the building that we're in. I just did some blackstone framing around it. I didn't do a roof of any kind because I think I'm going to add another floor above it. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided exactly what I want to do with that. But for now, we got a nice frame going on that really ties it in, makes it look... I kind of wanted it to look like a industrial kind of building, because this is our storeroom, and then that's our industrial machinery room over there. So it looks good, I think. As far as that goes, like I said, I'll probably be putting another floor above, and then we'll worry about doing some kind of roof afterwards. I did some paving throughout the entire village that has some hedges around the edges, and what I did is I just set up a deck that has all the different types of gravel and things that I was using for our paths in it, which means that I can just go around and pick blocks from the path as I build it with the middle mouse button. I can make things work, and then I can just swap them out and slowly change it over to make it look a little more worn. It's coming together. It still needs, there's some spots where there's still, it's mostly gravel, so I need to do some more changing of things around, but it looks like like this section here I didn't do much at all. But the difference between just plain gravel and having some other blocks worked in to make it look like it's more of a worn path is a big difference. I'm still working on lighting to put in. I'm going to have lighting that's recessed underneath the hedgerows. And then I also want to make some lamp posts that are similar to the ones I have at the barn, and put them periodically around. Big building that I built was this one over here. This is our blaze farm that we had built in the previous episode. I built a building around it. This is black nether brick. I just took nether brick, and I have a resource pack one that changes the nether brick to black. It's from Vanilla Tweaks, Exuma Void's website. He has a bunch of different little vanilla tweak type things where it's just little minor changes. The other one I put on for now is the full block sides. That's the one that makes it so that the grass goes all the way down on the side of the blocks, which I think makes a huge difference in our grass areas. I did some designing in this building on the Discord with some input from people, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's a little out there with the stark colors and everything, but somebody, I think it was Nix, mentioned that it looks like a firehouse, which I thought was appropriate because it is my nether building, so it has the blazes in it. It has the portal to the nether, so it's literally a firehouse. So I liked it. I'm not sure about the red. This is just red nether brick. I went into the nether and raided the nether fortress to get nether wart and grew some to make the posts there. Last big change I made is actually down on this end. This area here is where I had dug out to get a lot of resources to expand, and I was making some more flat area. I started terraforming it to make it so it looks like more of a hill, and I think it's coming out to look a little more natural. Still needs some touch up, and definitely needs some like vegetation on it, some bone meal to do that. And then this section down here is not quite done yet. I have to finish cutting that off and finishing this section right here where we can see clearly where we have cut out. But we're working on it. It's starting to get there. As far as some crops going, I started to use some botany pots. Though in the end, this is working for some things. I'm growing some oak. My netherwort is in here that I got from the Nether Fortress, so that's great. And then I have a couple of different veggies. These botany pots don't work for any of the Croptopia or Farmer's Delight seeds. And honestly, I don't really want to have a big farm that's just a big row of botany pots anyway. I'll use these for the vanilla stuff just so I have some way to get quick resources. But in the future, I'm going to end up setting up some farms using Create to do large scale farming projects. And we'll put those out here where we had originally planned to just make these fields. So that's going to take a little while to get into, but that'll be interesting once we get there. So overall, I think everything's starting to look pretty tied in. Oh, I did a little bit of, I threw some hay bales in the corner to try to make it look like there is a, this is an actual barn. And that's where I have the feeder that's feeding our cows and automatically breeding them. Make my way over there. I don't have any wheat in it right now, but if I want, I can put more wheat in and get more cows. So everything is, like I said, it's all starting to tie it together. I have the paths go, right now this just ends at the river and the other one ends right at that area that I'm terraforming. I'll have to decide how I want to go on. Oh, I didn't show you this. This is just a little fountain I made. I've tried a lot of different ways to make it look fancy, but in the end I just went with a real simple design. I have some different types of stairs to match the path, and then I have a little bit of light in the middle. So at night I think it looks pretty good too. Definitely need to work on the lighting because there's way too many torches everywhere, and I want to make it so that there's no torches in the place at all. We definitely have to work on getting rid of this area and deciding what we're going to put over there. But I'm pretty happy overall with the build. I'm going to get started working on some modern industrialization next. I want to get some full automation set up so that we can automate this steel production. And our big goal is to get to the ability to make this. And I have everything I need to craft the oil drilling rig, but a lot of these things are very long crafts with lots and lots of steps. I want to set up Autocrafting before I start doing that so that I don't drive myself crazy. So that's what I'm going to start working on right now. We're going to do some Autocrafting with Applied Energistics. So to do that, we're going to need, let's just do it this way. We're going to need to set up the crafting system, which is, why do I not see? Sure, they were there. I just didn't see them. Yeah, here we go. Crafting storages and crafting CPUs and that kind of thing. We need to get all these set up to enable us to do the crafting, and then we have to be able to do interfaces to connect our machines and all that. So every one of these use different tiers of these circuits that we had set up before, but we hadn't automated. So the first thing I need to do is set up an automated way to make all the different processors. So we're going to get started on that, and then we'll get figuring out where we're going to set up all of our auto crafting systems. The first thing I need to automate in order to get the processor automation going is the silicon. So I set up some wiring here. I actually ran some steam over from the other side of the base. It's just slowly pressurizing. And now I have a furnace here that's powered. So I set up an export bus to export Certus quartz dust. It has a redstone card that says it's active when there's no signal. So right now this level emitter is sending a signal because there's more than 64 silicon in the system. So if I go in here and I take a couple out, so now we're at 63, it says, hey, we need more silicon. It will try to put in Certus quartz, but since I don't have any Certus quartz dust in the system, it can't do anything. Now, since I do, it exported them. It's making silicon. The only issue I have right now is that it will continue to export Certus quartz dust into here until one is made, and it takes a little bit of time. So we end up with more than 64, which is no problem. Having a few extra, not an issue. We end up at 66 instead of 64. The next step is I want to have silicon pressed on demand. And so what I'm going to do, rather than having a crafting that does it, I'm going to put on an export bus here. I'm going to export silicon, and I'm going to put smart cable here. So now this will connect, it'll export silicon directly into the system. This thing will, I think I need to get this powered because I don't think it has power from that cable. So let me think how I want to do that. I think I have some quartz fiber in here. I do. Let's just put power like this for now. Quartz fiber is essentially a way to transfer power without transferring data. So basically, because that quartz fiber is in between, we're getting power through to this device, but we're not connecting a data port on the smart cable. All right, so this will continue to make printed silicon until this is full, and it'll continue to export. The furnace next to it will continue to make more silicon as it needs it when it has Certus quartz to do it, until there is 64 in the system. So this system right here will back up. This system will have 64 printed silicon in it. This one will continue to make the silicon I need until the system backs up and says, hey, I have more than 64 silicon in storage. There's no need to cook anymore. So right now, since we have over 70, it's going to stop cooking it. Problem is that I do not have a source for Certus quartz dust other than mining. So we need to get a more consistent supply of Certus quartz ore and set that up to automatically be macerated. So the best way to do that is with an electric quarry, which is another thing that we're going to have to be building. So we'll do that in the future. For now, we're just going to have to mine and get the Certus quartz we need. But this will make it so we have silicon. So now I need to set up systems so that this gets extracted and fills up my other inscribers with the silicon so that we can continue going forward. So let's do that here. All we're going to do is put item pipes. We'll fix this floor up later. So we need some item pipes. Let's go down one more layer so we can get in here easily. So we'll just connect these to here. And then if I just put a output servo on this one, it's going to take out the silicon and it's going to feed them into here. The issue is I want them to go into this slot not into anything else. But I think once I have the presses and stuff in there, or once I have everything else in there, it will be fine. So the next thing I need to work on is getting these set up so that they have redstone in the back of them. So to do that, we're going to set up export buses that automatically export redstone, which means I'm going to need 3 more export buses. Export buses are going to require us to make some more of the cores, formation core. So let's grab that, and then we want to grab redstone. Not quite sure if this is going to work because it may have the same issue where it puts it into the wrong slot, but we will see. So let's set these up to be export redstone, export redstone, export redstone. I don't need to limit these because the slot will only hold 64 of them. How many channels are we at now? Okay, so we're up to 6 now. Oops, fell in my own hole. Okay, good. So it's putting redstone in the correct slot. It won't let me manually put them in. Interesting. That's all right. We'll let that system fill it up. So basically, it's going to continue anytime one of these gets made, it's going to put a new redstone in there for us. My concern is I'm still worried that this slot here is going to cause me an issue, because I think that once the silicon fills up in here, I think it's going to export silicon into here as well. I'll have to figure out a way to make it so that does not happen. I've gotten a lot of small systems that I set up that add up to a big piece, so I want to show you each little section. First of all, I added another macerator section in here. This is for any ores that just need once run through a macerator and then imported. So for now, I have Certus quartz ore goes through here. Same setup where it only sends it out if there's more than one, so that it keeps it in the tank. And then all the Certus quartz gets processed and sent right into our system. So in our ore section, we now have Certus quartz ore here. Anytime we go mining for it, it automatically gets processed. Now, back in our applied energistics area, I set up this system here. Actually, I need to get some diamonds because I don't have any currently, so this system's not processing them. So let's grab. I'm just going to grab a stack of them, and I'm just going to hit them up with my pick for now. We'll have to get a renewable source of diamonds, just like all the other ores in the future. For now, just going to grab enough so that we have what we need for our processing here. That should be enough. So the way that this works, I already showed you these systems down here that automatically populate with silicon and redstone. The ones up top have an export bus on the back with a limiter that says if there is less than 64 processors of each type, turn the system on. So you can see the redstone for those are all turned off right now. Once this is done processing, basically it's just an inverted signal. If that redstone is on, this machine shuts off. It's actually just the export bus that shuts off, so it'll continue processing. Those circuits are made and they're automatically dropped down into the one beneath it, which turns them into processors, which go into this barrel, which get imported. So, it sounded very complicated, but basically all that system does is when I have processors in here, if I take out enough that I have less than 64 of a type of processor, it turns on the export bus, which starts sending the correct thing into that inscriber. And then once they get imported back in and we're over 64 again, it turns the redstone back on, stops exporting, the inscriber finishes up the work for what has been exported, and then we end up with all of our processors being done. So we have 64 of each processor in here. If we use enough that we go below 64, this system automatically makes more and drops them off for us. This processes their Certus quartz dust into silicon and keeps this full. We already have Certus quartz and redstone being processed over in the ore processing section. So as long as we have redstone ore and Certus quartz ore and gold ore and diamonds coming in, for the Certus quartz, we'll need to actually do another step to process them through the crystal growth chamber at some point. But as long as we have all those ores coming in, we will always have 64 of each of these processors, which means that we can start crafting all kinds of things without having to worry about the processors. The goal is to get a crafting system set up so that I can set up the things I need to craft different pieces here. So let's just go through this for a second. If we look at the advanced machine unit, we need electrum cables, which means we need electrum wire. So I want to have a wire mill set up so that I can turn electrum plates into electrum wire. I want to have that connected to an Autocraft system so that when I say, hey, I need electrum wire, it knows what to do. I also need it to be able to make electrum plates. So I need a compressor hooked up to an auto-crafting system so I can put in a recipe for electrum plates. I also need electrum ingots, which means I need a furnace set up that says, hey, I need electrum, send in some electrum dust, and it needs to know that it can craft electrum dust by combining silver dust and gold dust in a mixer. So all those things are different crafting setups we'll have to do. So we just basically, now we have the ability to do that with these processors, so we can just start small and work our way big until we have it to the point where I can go in and I can just request anything from modern industrialization and it will be able to craft it for us as we need it, which will greatly simplify this very complicated mod. It's going to take a lot of setup and a lot of background to do it, but we will get it so that everything is auto-crafted. But we're going to have to start working on that in the next episode because we're already pushing our time limit here today. Hope you enjoyed watching. I hope it made sense. It's a little bit complicated when you do stuff with applied energistics, but once you get into it, it gets easier. So I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.